It connects.
Sounds good.
Okay, let me see.
Great. Well, good evening, everyone. Just for anyone who's going to be watching this afterwards, we were having some technical difficulties, so we're a little bit late to the start. We do have a quorum, and we will start the meeting at 6:40 for the record. So I would like to get a motion to approve the last meeting's minutes.
So moved.
Second, Andrea.
Motion by Karen Rodia and seconded by Andrea Corcoran. All in favor?
Aye. Roll call, I think.
Oh, we need a roll call. I apologize.
You have to do discussion too.
Oh, okay. Were there any discussions around this agenda changes? I'm sorry, the minutes from last meeting or changes? No? Okay, we'll go with a roll call vote. Karen,
Yes.
Andrea,
Yes, oh, I see what Linda's saying. So we can't, can we vote on, since we're not live streaming, can we vote on the meeting minutes? Or just
Oh.
table it until next month?
Yeah, maybe we'll take a motion to table it until the next meeting.
So moved.
Thanks, Karen.
Second,
Okay.
Andrea.
And we can't vote on it, so we'll just table it until our next
You
meeting.
don't have to
due
vote on it,
technical
table thing.
difficulties. Great. Thank you. So we will move on to the next item. So there aren't anything for review or possible action. So we'll move over to items for information, which is the professional development prior to students returning. And I believe Dr. Gata, you will be kicking that off. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to share my screen with you. Okay, so let's see. Here we go. Hang on 1 minute. It's apparently not where it needs to be. Okay, let's see if I can. Yes. All right. So, as we began preparing for the upcoming school year, there were several things that we wanted to keep in mind. Okay. First of all, obviously our mission to ensure all students are represented in the work that we do and the efforts that we make as a school district. You've seen this mission before, and I won't read it to you, but it contains important information that we have to keep in mind as we work with our students, but also prepare to work with our students. And as you all know, convocation was August 30th. The first professional development day was August 31st, which was what we call the district day. So all of our teachers were involved in professional learning that was prepared by the departments that they work in. On September 1st, that was what we call the building-based day. And so teachers were involved in professional learning at the building. And then students came in the following day. And that's the typical sequence of events that we usually follow. So convocation, district-wide professional development, building-based professional development, and then the students come in. So our mission statement, which was developed going on 4 years ago, we're into our 5th year now, which had 4 strategies. In order to achieve our mission, we had to have some plans about how to do that. And 3 of the 4 strategies, I believe, are represented in the work that we did prior to school starting. So again, thinking about mastery-based learning with high-quality instructions and engaging content. 21st century skills. So we have students who leave us with the skills that they need to be successful in the decisions that they make after high school. And social emotional wellness, or SEL. And so all of this, I believe, all of the information that we have here is not something new to any of you who are listening. And some of you may even have been on the action teams that work for each one of these strategies. So I just wanted to take a minute to highlight some of the things that were brought out when we started planning these strategies. So for mastery-based learning, we said we needed to create multiple pathways for students to master content and skill, multiple opportunities for them to demonstrate progress and mastery, targeted individualized support, and increased student engagement and deeper learning. The essentials for the implementation of mastery-based learning in Stratford, we're committed to educating all stakeholders. So inviting families in, including student voice, teachers, all the educators in the district, but also our larger community as well. And as you remember, one of the 4 strategies was about strengthening the relationships that we have with our community partners. Separate work habits from mastery of knowledge and content. And so when we talk about mastery-based learning, we're talking about what the skills and knowledge that we want students to achieve and acquire to be successful when they leave us, when they leave Stratford Public School. And so when we think about work habits, such as doing your work on time, having the materials that you need, perseverance, all of those items, which sometimes get factored into a student's quote unquote grade. And we've had multiple discussions about reporting on those work habits, but not necessarily having them be part of a student's 88. Let's say, if that happens to be the grade that they have. How do you know what that 88 stands for? So we've been having multiple conversations about that. Developing grade level and content specific expectations and protocols. Those are our priority standards. And I think you'll see that a good deal of effort was placed on that in our workshops prior to school starting. And then reviewing and modifying graduation requirements. I'm sure most of you remember that beginning with those who are juniors, the class of 2023, they need 25 credits to graduate. And one of those credits is to be a capstone project or a mastery-based competency. So we're working very hard on that now. I wanted to mention to you a little bit about 21st century skills. You've heard about it through the work that a very diverse team of community members, business people, individuals, educators, and students working at developing our portrait of a graduate. What will the graduate look like who we send off from the Stratford Public Schools? So really focusing on the skills, which are what we're calling 21st century skills that students will need to be successful in a competitive world. Last spring, Joanna Nadarian Garb and several members of her committee who actually secured a BAR Foundation grant to do some of this work, presented to you some of the work, the results that they have achieved as a result of many. I think they were well over 1,000 surveys that they utilized data from in order to come up with these 5 specific areas for our portrait of a graduate. Hopefully, we're to work with make sure that our portrait of a graduate is a good communicator. Our graduate is a lifelong learner, solution-driven problem solver, compassionate and engaged community member, and collaborator. So good news. This team applied for another BAR Foundation grant, and they just heard within the last week or 2 that they received that grant. So their work this year will be in establishing the rubrics for students, and we're expecting that this is going to play a very big role in the mastery-based competency credit that students must demonstrate. And I will just take a minute to just reflect on the fact that the state is we're working to achieve with the state mandate is now for students to graduate from high school. They demonstrate competency and that they graduate with a minimum of 25. So that's sort of the origin of this work. So with social emotional learning, we looked at the research. And 4 years ago, Stratford was talking about this and looking at different programs, because we knew that students who were socially and emotionally well adjusted do better academically, that their school attendance is better, that they minimize at-risk behaviors and increase resiliency, and they become positive and productive members of our community. And I believe that if nothing else, the last year or last year and a half has really demonstrated the importance of social emotional learning, and a lot of effort on the district part has been on keeping students engaged, providing them, and if possible, their families with what they need to be socially and emotionally well. So since the time of the beginning of our strategic plan, several SEL programs have been brought into the district, and we're still working our way through these, including Move This World. We tried it in K through 12. It is now in pre-K. That program has, we've replaced with the Ruler program. The Restorative Practice program is something that we've been, every person who comes into the district as a new hire is trained for 2 days on restorative practice. And this is something that is an important practice throughout our district. So I think many of you also have seen what we've come to call the Placemat. This is work that came out of the planning of some of our strategic planning committee members and our leaders in the district. And so looking at the various areas that we were focused on, you can see that there was a plan for how we at the end of this school year would be in certain places in achieving our plan. Some things we obviously were able to achieve. Others, I think the last year and a half, unfortunately, has developed, we've hit some challenges here, but in other ways, for example, with social emotional learning, there's quite a bit that we've been able to accomplish. So people are very interested in continuing the conversation about mastery-based learning, social emotional learning, and as you can tell, also with the portrait of a graduate. So that being said, I just wanted now to take a minute to reflect with you on some of the work that's been done. And Sam is here with me today. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Sam Rosenberg. She was able to stop by and help me out. I think I'm going to start with the elementary work that was scheduled. Okay, so on the district PD day, our teachers at the elementary level were working with a number of the programs that many of you will recognize. So Sam, I'm going to let you focus on the math part of this, okay? And I know you and Sue Schmidt developed this plan along with your math coaches and the reading teachers, but also with the administrators in the building. They were supportive of the work that you were doing. So I'd like to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about what you have planned.
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Gaeta. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So one of the themes that we coming into this year realized is that we really need to support our teachers. And so we thought, how can we do that? Because we've had 18 months of non-traditional learning and teaching. And it kept coming up that, after speaking to the teachers and the administrators, that we really need a reboot and reset of the best practices that brought us success. So I'll speak in the area of math. One of the sessions, or all of the sessions really in math, was to prioritize back again mathematical discussions. because the last 18 months, really, when you're on virtual learning, our teachers were creative, but a lot of it was call and respond. And so you didn't have that rich discussion that you typically do when you're in person consistently. So, mathematical discussions is really a primary mechanism for developing conceptual understanding and meaningful learning of mathematics. So we called up our core curriculum representatives resources, READY, which is part of the curriculum associates reps, and they were able to jump in as the specialist and kind of give us a reboot and reset and reminder of the effective practice is to do a math talk, really. Because math talks will create that, what Dr. Gato was alluding to or mentioned about, creating that sense of community, supporting language development, revealing student understanding, like I mentioned before. We wanted to also build those social skills in as well. So all of our math sessions focused highly on having those rich discourse and discussions. And then moving into the sciences, we have two core resources. One is Mystery Science for K-5, and the other is Open SciEd. Now, we were in the middle of really the tail end, I should say, of our implementation. So 2nd and 5th grade this year are experiencing Mystery Science as their core resource to teach with. So that was necessary for us to go in and make sure we supported teachers, allowed them the opportunities to familiarize themselves with the Mystery Science platform, as well as NGSS as a whole. So revisiting some of the NGSS standards as well too. I took on that particular session because I don't have science coaches at the moment. So I did all the Mystery Science training sessions for our PD day. With regards to specifically 4th grade, they have embedded in their curriculum the Invention Convention, which we've had a lot of success from our kiddos in the past. And so I made a phone call and asked for a favor, if you will, from the executive director herself and said, is there any way we want quality professional development, and the only way to get quality is to get it directly from the source. So she came on and gave us a quick overview and reminder of the whole Invention Convention processes and how to go about approaching this with students, to our 4th grade teachers specifically. And then we moved into 6th grade, which utilizes for science Open SciEd. And Open SciEd highly focuses on supporting science teachers anywhere. It's an open source curriculum, which means it's available freely, but it's been vetted and have several iterations before they actually make it public. In the past, when I was a teacher, I was actually one of those teachers who piloted several of their units. So I know by firsthand that they don't just publish anything without ensuring that it's been put to practice and also received feedback from teachers and the community as well. So I'd like to also add that with Open SciEd, this gave us an opportunity to also collaborate with our neighboring district, Milford, because in the summer, well, let me go back to last year, actually. Last year, towards the end of the year, we offered a virtual training sessions because 6th grade was, like I said, they were implementing new units, and our 3rd unit was the light unit. And we basically joined forces with Milford. They came into our virtual session, and then they were able to book a session over the summer for 2 days, and they invited our teachers. So some of our teachers attended their training sessions over the summer. We do have 2 more days, and that will be virtual given the circumstances and kids and we are not going to do in-person training sessions with them. So that's basically what we hopefully try to do as much as possible in a matter of a day to support our teachers. I did receive feedback from teachers. They were very appreciative of, number one, the fact that we had that immediate feedback. Right after the session, I gave them a link, please share your feedback, because when you walk away, you forget what you just heard and learned. So they gave us immediate feedback, items pertaining to how to go about with the follow-up sessions and so forth. So that's very valuable information going forward, especially into our next PD day, which I believe, Dr. Gates, is November. So we're going to take that information and also structure that PD.
Thanks, Sam. As you all can see, when you're looking at the schedule, it looks like the day is sort of cut in half. So the science and math sessions are for the most part, in the morning, right? There is in third grade, let's see. Like from grades K through 3, it looks like there's also a Dibbles session as well. So there is some literacy in the morning because the younger kids are, we're using Dibbles, which is one of the state assessments for determining where students are. And then the Haggerty publication in that is a program that's used to help support students from where they are and moving them ahead. And then the other piece of the day obviously was the math part. And then it looked like they ended with the Lexia, which is the reading piece as well, and calibrating benchmarks. One of the things we discussed as an administrative team prior to these days, we had 2 days with our administrators, and I think Denise, did you stop in for one of those days? I know Amy Wiltsey was there. Oh, Karen, you did. Karen, you stopped in to one of our administrative retreats. And one of the topics that we talked about was, mindset when we're working with students who are coming back from the type of experience they've had for the last year and a half. How do we emphasize the strengths and the assets that they have rather than always working from a deficit model? Well, students missed all of this, so we have to go back. A third grade student missed all of second grade, and so we should be starting with second grade material. And when we look at that kind of approach, many times, if we're always working from that posture, students never really catch up. And so the approach is starting with the grade level content that we would expect students to have at the grade that they're in, and then supporting them with some of the tutors that we were able to secure with ESSER funds and other programs. You see some of them here to help teachers get a better feel for where students are and to find the areas where they need support and provide it at the time that they need support and what's being taught. So that was one of the conversations that we had as administrators. And I think you'll see that that's been supported here in the work that we have done at the elementary level as well. Does anybody have any questions for Sam? Oh, okay, then I'm gonna just zoom up to the secondary level. So beginning with the, whoops. So beginning with our special areas, you'll notice that the areas that they concentrated on as a full group were mastery-based learning, SEL, specifically the ruler program. If you remember, last year we focused on adults and learning about ruler program and the pieces that are used with students. We focused on that last year, and this year the program will be fully implemented with students as well. Portrait of a Graduate, and acceleration. The process that I just described to you about working with students at the content, at their grade level content, but supporting them so that they can achieve and acquire and access that content, has the term, it's been labeled acceleration. I tend to find that some people misunderstand through no fault of their own what we mean by acceleration. this is just talking about a way to accelerate students so that they have access to their grade level content. So you'll see the word acceleration there, and that's what that refers to. So there was a major, full group conversation about these concepts that we've talked about before, and then small breakout groups by grade level and content area departments then worked on this information moving forward. And Denise Masari was going to be part of our presentation tonight. She is in a meeting right now with her dual language group. And I'm going to ask her to come over for just a minute. So the ESOL teachers, we don't often spend a lot of time at looking at what is happening in our ESOL programs for multilingual students. We have teachers who are specifically working with students who speak languages in addition, and their first language might not be English, but they're learning English. And so these teachers spent time working on a checklist to utilize information from the State Department's English Learner Program and to develop a checklist, which we will use as a district to go through and see which areas English learners need for us to focus on. They also are looking at the Dibbles and Hegarty program. They participated in that. And they reviewed student data for the students who were currently identified for an individual action plan, IAP stands for. So the ESOL teachers for students in grades 7 through 12 did a similar kind of activity. Our secondary teachers, you'll notice for them, the afternoon was designated for a special presentation on special ed law. And so all of the activities and workshops that we had for secondary students, teachers, excuse me, the afternoon was devoted to a presentation that was given by one of our district attorneys on special ed law and our responsibilities as educators for our students who are identified. So you'll see that their presentation was in the afternoon, and the following day on the district-based, those teachers received, the elementary teachers had the same presentation in the afternoon on the district day, on the building-based day, the next day. So if we look at social studies and reading and also ELA, they were looking at Unit 1 for the year. They've also been able to acquire the Newsella program, which many of you remember we had at the we still have at the elementary level, and they added the social studies piece to it. Newsella is an online program that allows teachers to assign a particular content reading assignment for students at the level that student needs in order to read independently. So 7th and 8th grade social studies now has access to various social studies information through Newsella to support some of the new units that they have in social studies. The reading teachers were working and learning about Read 180 and System 44, which is a support for students who are in the reading classes. And then the same thing for ELA. They were working on their first unit. Math, you'll notice that they were revisiting the priority standards. So again, back to mastery-based learning as well, looking at their rubrics, their assessments, and any curricular adjustments that they felt they needed to make based upon the preparation for students who are coming in out of the pandemic, from spending time either learning remotely or the various other models that we had last year. You'll see the same thing in science. In world language had a number of things that were going on. They're constantly looking and adjusting their proficiency standards. They calibrate frequently as a department. And this year they're working on bringing in a digital lab. And so that work it required some training. Reading in 9 through 12, very similar to what was happening in middle school. And the 9 through 12 English, the Library Media Center and Social Studies as well started off with trauma-informed teaching practices. Again, looking at their priority standards and their assessments. And for the teachers who will be teaching the new curriculum in social studies that you're well aware of based upon our last meeting that we had, they had some time together to go over the course review plan and review the resources. Again, they'll be using Newsela as well. They have access there. So as you can see at the secondary level, again, revisiting what we've been talking about in our strategic plan about identifying priority standards, rubrics, assessments, and making adjustments that we need to make. You see, mostly on the second day at the building level, there was a ruler training that was going on. Here, the other areas that met. SEL is an important part. It's woven into everything that we're doing. The mastery-based learning piece is hugely important. And I think that might be Denise Masari who joined us. Is that you, Denise?
Linda, we are in fact live now, so if they want to do a vote on the minutes, they can later.
Okay. Did Denise, I'm just looking to see if
I
Denise
see
came
her.
on.
She's on. She's
Okay.
muted.
Hi, Denise. Your timing is perfect. So we were just sharing a little bit.
I don't think she can hear us.
Okay. Apparently tonight is a kindergarten session for the dual language program. And one of the things I had asked Denise to talk about and share with you, because Karen, I remember you saying at our last meeting that you would like updates on some of the things that we've discussed here. And so I immediately went to Denise and I said, Denise, how about a dual language update, the dual language program? And she said, well, I talked to them about it in the spring. I don't know, if they want to see me again. But, wonderful success with this program, great feedback from parents. This year, 4th grade starts, so we have kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And of course, we need to be thinking about students as they approach the middle level and the preparation that needs to happen there for the world language program. So Denise has maybe sent something in the
You're unmuted now, Denise. Say something.
Yahoo.
Let's see if we could hear you. Can you say, let us see if we could hear you. We can't hear you. Do you have headphones plugged into your computer?
So Denise will try one more time to come on back in. But while we're waiting for Denise, is there anything else that anybody would like to ask, either of Sam or myself? I'm hoping that we were trying, to show you the connection and how much we still are very much linked to the strategic plan, that we had a variety of staff members. Here she is. Hi there.
Sorry, I couldn't hear a thing. I saw everyone's mouth moving and I'm thinking, I can't hear anything that's being said. Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hi.
I apologize. We had the dual language kindergarten open house, so that's where I was.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Good to see you all.
Would
So
you like to?
what am I on for, Linda?
Well, I just wanted you to share a little bit about what your focus was with your ESOL teachers, the world language teachers, take a few minutes to share all the work that's been planned and the work that your
Sure.
teachers are doing. And can I just say this, Denise, before you start? So if you want to focus on this a little bit, when we talk about mastery-based learning and we're talking about proficiency and competency, I think your department, there are other departments, I think, whether it's performing arts or whatever, the focus is how students demonstrate their understanding. That's what you're always looking for. And so I know your department has been working on this for quite a while, because students have to develop their skill and in a language, whether it's English or another language, right? And so maybe just a little bit about the thinking that you use in that way.
Sure. So world language or language as a second acquisition is based in proficiency, at least anyone that is hoping for students to remember and to be able to use the language should be entrenched in a proficiency model as opposed to a grammar base. So we're really looking for students to see how well can they read, write, speak, and listen in the language, and how culturally competent they can be in the particular target language of study. So we have spent a lot of time using our, the American Council of Teachers of Foreign Languages, that's ACTFL, using those standards and those rubrics and the proficiency descriptions. And we've developed targets for each level. And we base all of our evaluations off of those national standards, if you will. So we've created even sub-levels to that would be more applicable to 7th through 12th grade. And that's a whole other separate presentation. So I'm not going to overwhelm anybody with that jargon. I can come up and, do this another time for you. But we spent some time taking a look at those targets and what we're hoping for kids to accomplish at the end of the year. So really, we are focused specifically right now on our productive skills, which is the speaking and the writing. Obviously, we look at all of it, but in terms of what we really want to focus on this year is the speaking and the writing. So that's world language. And then ESOL, we have so many different things, but one thing in particular, which I found pretty fascinating, is the state put out program checklists, and there are about 6 or 7 checklists, and they look at teacher effectiveness, school climate, community engagement. They look at a lot of different things. And the state put together these checklists of 15 to 20 indicators of what a program should be looking for in these different realms. So, we can't possibly look at all 15 to 20 indicators and do walkthroughs. So we took a look at those. We kind of dug into them and said, what are the 5 priority indicators from each of those checklists? And we found a lot of overlap in some of them. So I don't think it was hard to get to 5. It was hard to get to 3. So we were looking for the top 3 things. What do we really want to focus on in each of those areas, so that when we take a look at our program in each of the buildings, those are the things that we should see. When the rubber hits the road, that's what we're looking for. And we're in the process of that. And, we've got a couple of buildings that have agreed to kind of pilot this with us and use their classrooms as pilot, right? So we're just trying to see where things go. So we took a look at that, and there's a new phonics program. So we had our teachers taking a look at that, because it's important for them to know what's going on in the mainstream classroom so that they can help support. So those were the 2 big things. I'm sorry, I don't have my readers. Let me see. Yeah. Oh, and then the IAP, which is done on purpose. It sounds like IEP, but it's an IEP, which is an individual action plan for English learners. And we take a look at all of their data, and we have the ESOL teachers and tutors sit down, and they put together a plan for each student for the beginning of the year. They sit down with the classroom teacher and they go through that plan. There's strategies on there, there's useful data, and then they periodically check on the student throughout the year. That's used in SRBIs, their success plans. But that's our way of monitoring our current English learners. I think that covers what you were hoping I would cover.
Right, well, I'm not sure that everybody knows also that the state is very interested in the progress of our students. And so how is that information collected, basically?
So, I mean,
I mean, for the state, where would people see that information?
well, that would be through Lost Links, right? That's the yearly exam assessment that they take. It's a state, it's a high stakes state test. It's the equivalent of the SBAC. And then GSS, it's the same, equivalency in terms of English language learners. And then we also have post-exit monitoring. The state doesn't collect that data, but any student that has exited the ESOL program still is monitored by us for 2 years. And so we have another set of paperwork and another system that I've put in place so that we can make sure that we follow up with those students. But the only way that the state really tracks is through the Lost Links. And of course, any conversation and correspondence that they have with me.
Right. And your program is growing.
Which one? Because they seem to all be growing.
Yep. Okay. Any questions for Denise?
I have a question. So, Denise, did
Who's
you
talking? I'm sorry.
present? This is Janice.
Oh, hey, Janice, how are you?
Good. How are you? Have you presented to the board, and maybe it was before our time, but just yeah. But just in terms of the dual language program, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hold on, I'm hearing myself. Okay, better. I guess the YouTube feed we were waiting for was finally live, and the audio was coming in. Sorry about that. So regarding the dual language program, because you oversee multiple programs, have you presented to the board? And like I said, maybe it's prior to us joining the board, but just an in-depth presentation of dual language and how it functions with your other programs. What is expected of it, and its interaction with everything else that you're, all the other language programs that you're running. Have you done that before? Or is there something?
So
You
when
did?
in
Okay.
order for it to hit the ground, to be
To start infancy,
right,
yeah.
I did a very in-depth presentation. So I have absolutely no problems in doing that again. I mean, I think I'm very proud of that program and the progress that the students are making, and the work that the teachers put forth. So anything we can do to promote the program and show you what it's all about is something that we are very interested in doing.
I think that would be a good idea, Dr. Gaeta, for us to have. I'm not sure if it would be a curriculum meeting where that's presented, or to the larger board, for us to just get, see that and have that discussion. And just talk about like what the future of it is, because now it's up to the 4th grade. What's right, like what happens after?
I know what I would like to happen. There's no
So I
question.
think we should
definitely
yeah.
And it
But like
requires
what the
all of you.
original plans were and what you've seen it evolve into,
Right.
Might need to change.
Right.
Yeah.
Be great.
Okay, so we'll look forward to something in the future around a presentation on that. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
I want to thank you for for allowing us to take some of your evening here, just to continue to share some of the work that's been done. And teachers are working very hard They're doing their very best to stay up with students and keep them supported. So I just really welcome this opportunity to be able to share this.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam, Denise. Oh, and I
Thanks,
think Lou
Sam.
said, so Lou said that if you wanted to go back and do the vote for the minutes,
Oh,
because
yes,
you're live, you can do that now.
we could do that. Okay, great. So can I get a motion to take the meeting, okay, off the table?
So moved.
Anyone to second, or do we need a second for that?
I'll second.
Thanks, Robin. And now I think I'll need a new motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I'll make that motion as well.
Anyone?
I'll second. I'm unmuted.
Thanks,
See, now I'm
Robin.
muted. I'll second.
And are there any questions or discussions around it? No? Okay, so we'll go for a roll call vote, and I'll start with Miss Rodia.
Yes.
Karen? Andrea? Yes? Do we need her to hear her say yes, or is that fine? Thumbs up. Robin?
Yes.
Robin vote yes. Jessica?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So minutes approved. We don't have any other items. I lost my agenda. Hold on.
We don't have any more.
We don't have any other items on the agenda, so I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Oh, second.
Thank you. Meeting, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, meeting adjourned, and thank you all for attending tonight and for the presentation. And Denise, good to see you again. Have a good evening, everybody.
Good
Take
night.
care.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Lou. Denise, I love your shades. All right, we're good.
Okay.
Linda, just share that file with me and I'll post it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about, yeah, I had to reprogram every bit of my software
Oh.
and restart it. It was telling me it was connected. It wasn't connected. I restarted